Nobody thought that you could crash Bugatti, buy it back, and nonetheless fix it.
I think we can rebuild this.
You think so?
I think we can.
Late one night, a private message arrived that no one saw coming. From the highest level of hypercar royalty to one of the most controversial independent mechanics alive. What happens when a CEO known for guarding his brand's secrets chooses connection over conflict? Amid fierce online backlash and a rebuild viewed by many as a disaster, the man at the helm of Bugatti reached out not to condemn, but to commend a mechanic who had been publicly tormented. This story isn't about perfection. It's about respect, unexpected alliances, and how a single message might change the future of the automotive world forever. The Venom Chiron fallout. Matt Armstrong's phone buzzed late at night, but this was no ordinary notification. The Venom wide-body Chiron rebuild, a project worth $700,000, sat in his Miami workshop, cloaked in heavy criticism from all corners of the internet. The video unveiling the body kit had gone viral, but not for the reasons Armstrong might have hoped. Instead of admiration, the comment sections flooded with ridicule, memes, and harsh disappointment. Many called the rebuild destructive, accusing Armstrong of ruining a masterpiece rather than restoring one. The backlash wasn't just harsh, it was relentless and global. Fans and critics alike debated the fate of what they considered one of the world's most stunning hypercars, now dressed in plastic garbage. For Armstrong, this fury hit harder than usual, because the design was not his doing. The wide-body kit was commissioned and signed off by Alex Gonzalez, the car's owner. While Armstrong's role was to make the kit fit, that meant cutting, drilling, and problem-solving through challenges that would have overwhelmed many. Yet, the internet didn't care about these details. Armstrong's face was on the thumbnail, making him the immediate target of anger and blame. For days, Armstrong stayed silent. Silence in the midst of a storm is a choice more difficult than many realize, especially when every refresh brings new insults. He didn't defend himself publicly, didn't deflect blame onto Gonzalez, and certainly didn't explain the complexities behind the rebuild. The quiet took on its own weight, louder perhaps than any spoken defense. This moment could have spelled the end for Armstrong's reputation and career. In a world where public opinion can make or break a mechanic's standing, being labeled a butcher online is almost irreversible. The Venom Chiron's fallout was not just personal. It became a symbol of how fierce and unforgiving car culture can be when a beloved creation is altered. Yet, as the world reacted with scorn, someone in Molsheim, the home of Bugatti's headquarters, was watching with a very different perspective. While the internet drowned Armstrong in negativity, this watcher saw something others missed. That unseen gaze would soon flip expectations and reveal a story beneath the headlines and jokes. The initial collapse of public favor was only the opening act in a drama that would challenge long-held views about independent mechanics and manufacturer control. But the twist, the real shift, lay in a message sent late that night, one that would change everything for Armstrong. This was not a story about failure alone, but about what can rise from it. What seemed like a disaster at first glance carried within it an unexpected key, one that would unlock respect from a surprising source. Even as the online storm raged, a quiet signal came from the very top, exposing how close Armstrong was to losing not just a project, but the trust of an entire industry. Behind the scenes of harsh judgment, Armstrong's true craftsmanship was quietly being recognized, revealing layers that the social media fury could never grasp. Matt Armstrong's unseen craftsmanship. Most people only saw the final look of the Venom Chiron rebuild, a body kit widely deemed a mistake. Few paused to appreciate the technical skill behind the scenes, the kind of problem-solving that kept the project alive. Matt Armstrong's work was less about aesthetics and more about engineering under pressure. His rebuild called for cuts, bonds, and tricky adjustments that required ingenuity and calm precision. Armstrong is a self-taught mechanic, a fact that adds to both the admiration and criticism he receives. He made headlines years earlier by rebuilding a Bugatti Veyron without factory permission and exposing costly service markups. His journey is grounded in pure, hands-on experience rather than formal automotive education, making his accomplishments even more remarkable. Facing the Venom Chiron challenge, Armstrong dealt with body panels that were not only carefully designed, but deliberately difficult to fit. The kit's complexity required improvisation and deep mechanical understanding. Armstrong uncovered engineering puzzles, such as cracked headlight mounts, and engineered solutions that many assumed impossible. The craftsmanship hidden beneath the plastic was the work of a master mechanic who thrived despite scarce resources and mounting pressure. Armstrong's experience with hypercars gave him tools few others have, and his dedication to preserving function in a wildly altered vehicle was unseen by most critics. The internet only saw an ugly facelift. Armstrong was solving problems that protected the car's essential integrity. Despite the online vitriol, Armstrong's approach was never about shortcuts or giving up. He treated every challenge as a problem to be fixed, not an excuse for failure. His silence was not weakness, but reflection, a quiet confidence rooted in knowing the work behind the scenes was solid, regardless of the public's harsh judgment. Few recognized that, while the world mocked the surface, Armstrong was doing what few could, maintaining the mechanical heart of a $3 million hypercar under extreme circumstances. His reputation rested on battles won in garages, not on popularity contests or social media applause. This hidden layer of skill is what caught the attention of someone with the authority and insight to see past the noise. The real story was not how the rebuild looked, but how it was executed. Armstrong's craftsmanship was a form of engineering artistry, even if it wasn't immediately obvious to casual viewers. Understanding this craftsmanship is key to grasping why the message Armstrong received would shock the automotive community. The respect flowing from one of the industry's most powerful figures was rooted in genuine admiration for these unseen talents. That respect came from an unexpected source, one whose own background in engineering and innovation shaped a unique view of Armstrong's work and the future of hypercar culture. Mate Rimac's perspective. Mate Rimac, Bugatti's CEO and founder of Rimac Automobili, is not your typical corporate leader. Before rising to the helm of the world's most exclusive hypercar brand, he built his reputation as an engineer and entrepreneur starting from scratch in Croatia. His journey from a determined tinkerer to the head of Bugatti's ultra-luxury empire gave him a rare appreciation for independent skill and innovation. Unlike many executives who view independent mechanics as threats or liabilities, Rimac understands the passion and risk involved in building or rebuilding hypercars outside factory walls. He knows firsthand what it means to be underestimated, both as a builder and as a disruptor in an established industry. This empathy colors his perspective on figures like Matt Armstrong. Rimac's philosophy differs sharply from previous leadership at Bugatti, which was famously protective about factory exclusivity, locking VYN numbers, refusing to sell body panels, and actively discouraging outside modifications. He sees these policies as barriers that limit innovation and alienate talented individuals who share the same engineering spirit Bugatti was built upon. When the Venom Chiron video surfaced online, Rimac did not join the chorus of critics. Instead, he looked beyond the snark and the memes to the craftsmanship beneath. The way Armstrong handled complex repairs and adapted parts under challenging circumstances spoke to Rimac as a fellow engineer. He recognized the same resourcefulness and dedication that had defined his own early efforts. This recognition motivated Rimac to break with tradition and reach out directly to Armstrong, an independent mechanic he had previously regarded with skepticism. The message wasn't a corporate statement or legal threat. It was a personal note from one engineer to another, acknowledging respect and a shared passion. Rimac's gesture was unprecedented in hypercar culture, signaling a potential shift away from exclusive control toward a more collaborative ecosystem. By privately commending Armstrong, he challenged the industry norm that viewed independent rebuilds as dangerous or subversive rather than complementary. This change in attitude streams from Rimac's belief that the future of hypercars depends on breaking down walls between manufacturers and independent innovators. His own rise outside traditional automotive centers shaped this vision, where openness and mutual respect foster true progress. By acknowledging Matt Armstrong's skills despite the controversy surrounding the rebuild, Rimac sent a signal not only to Armstrong, but to the entire industry. One that could rewrite the rules for independent mechanics and the evolving definition of craftsmanship in the automotive world. With this unique understanding and respect established, the private message Rimac sent that night took on a far greater meaning, one that would redefine rivalry and shape the future of hypercar collaboration. The night of the message. At precisely 11:47 p.m., Mate Rimac's phone lit up with a private message unlike any Matt Armstrong had ever received. In the quiet of his Miami workshop, long after the cameras had been turned off and tools put away, Armstrong was bracing for yet another wave of online criticism. Instead, he found a personal note from the CEO of Bugatti himself, an unprecedented moment that caught him completely off guard. This was not a corporate press release or a viral tweet, but a genuine, direct message from one engineer to another. The message began with recognition, a rare acknowledgement of Armstrong's work on the Chiron rebuild, especially the phases before the wide-body kit was even installed. Rimac praised what Armstrong had accomplished with limited resources, calling it exactly the kind of engineering spirit that built Bugatti. The tone was empathetic, reflecting someone who knew the brutality of the internet and the burn that comes from public scrutiny. Rimac openly admitted he had been there, positioning himself not as an accusatory executive, but as a fellow mechanic who understood struggle. What made the message remarkable wasn't an offer, a deal, or a threat. It was respect. Rimac called Armstrong a world-class mechanic, an acknowledgement no one expected from the leader of the very company Armstrong had challenged through his work and outspoken criticism. The invitation to talk wasn't as a Bugatti CEO to an outsider, but one engineer to another, emphasizing openness over hierarchy, transparency over secrecy. It was a conversation about vision, free from cameras and agendas. This message flipped the script on everything the automotive world had come to expect. Past Bugatti leadership had guarded their brand like a fortress, locking VYN numbers and refusing to sell body panels to independents. Rimac's outreach pierced that fortress with a simple but profound statement. Independent skill is not a threat, but a reflection of the same passion that drives the brand. This shift was more than personal. It was a potential turning point for the whole industry. For Armstrong, reading those words was transformative. He reread the message several times, absorbing what it truly meant. His eyes then drifted to the Venom Chiron, still sitting in the corner, flawed, heavily criticized, and unwanted by many. Yet suddenly, that vessel of public scorn became a symbol of something else. Validation. The hardest critics had nothing on the respect granted by the one man whose opinion genuinely mattered. That moment carried more weight than 1 million likes, more than any viral comeback. Mate Rimac, the man who engineered a 2,000 horsepower electric hypercar from nothing and now led Bugatti's future, saw through the cheap plastique to the craftsman beneath. In his eyes, Armstrong was not an enemy, but an ally with shared values and vision. That private message rewrote the narrative, turning humiliation into a hard-won victory. The message also carried a quiet but powerful challenge to the industry's status quo. By reaching out this way, Rimac laid a foundation for collaboration where before there was suspicion, opening a door that had been sealed for decades. He wasn't just sending a compliment, he was signaling the possibility of a new relationship between factories and independent builders. Tonight wasn't just about mending fences between two men. It was about breaking down walls that had long separated independent mechanics from the highest echelons of hypercar manufacturing. And Armstrong's response would prove just as revealing as the message itself. With this rare olive branch extended, what followed was a profound reflection on respect, one that questioned old rivalries and redefined what it means to be a peer in the automotive world. The power of respect over rivalry. In a culture historically divided by suspicion and protectionism, Mate Rimac's message was a milestone. For decades, automakers have seen independent mechanics as outsiders, sometimes even threats, locking them out through patents, part restrictions, and legal battles. Independent rebuilds were often treated like crimes against the brand, voiding warranties and erasing manufacturer support. This mentality fed a growing tension between factory engineers and passionate outsiders who wanted only to keep these machines alive. Rimac's outreach shattered this paradigm simply by acknowledging Armstrong's talent without conditions or condescension. He recognized that independent builders share the same core engineering spirit that built Bugatti and other renowned hypercar brands. This was more than mere civility. It was a declaration that passion and skill exist both inside and outside the factory walls. It suggested the old walls might soon crumble. This gesture from the CEO was a powerful symbol of change sweeping the automotive world. The right to repair movement, long battling resistance from manufacturers unwilling to share parts or data, suddenly found a potential ally at the very top. If Bugatti, once notoriously closed off, could privately recognize an independent, what hope might this signal for others? The implications stirred excitement and cautious optimism across the repair and automotive communities. Armstrong's response was a study in integrity. He thanked Rimac without asking for favors, jobs, or approval. Instead, he insisted their conversation be held as equals, engineer to engineer, not as a supplicant seeking permission. This was consistent with Armstrong's ethos: transparency, honesty, and respect without compromise. Asking to record the discussion wasn't a stunt, but a call for openness that could hold both parties accountable and invite the world into the dialogue. This interaction suggested a future where conversation replaces confrontation. No longer would independent rebuilds be automatically cast as reckless or illicit. Instead, they might be recognized as a vital part of automotive culture and innovation. Factories and independents could coexist, learn from each other, and push technological boundaries as partners rather than opponents. The significance goes beyond Armstrong and Rimac. It's a signal to every manufacturer watching. Collaboration is not weakness, but strength. The old model of isolation is fading, replaced by an ecosystem where engineers at every level can contribute to progress. This shift could transform not only hypercar culture, but also how all vehicles are maintained, repaired, and reimagined. At its core, this is a story about respect, not as a corporate tool, but as genuine human recognition of skill and passion. It upends decades of mistrust and proves that even amidst controversy and failure, respect can open doors no contract or lawsuit ever could. Armstrong's battle-scarred rebuild became a bridge between worlds once thought permanently at odds. As the night deepened and that message lingered in Armstrong's mind, a larger truth emerged. The future of car culture depends on replacing rivalry with respect. This newfound respect laid the groundwork for an entirely new chapter, one that promises to reshape the industry and the stories hypercars will tell tomorrow. A new era for hypercars. The private message from Mate Rimac to Matt Armstrong represents far more than a moment of personal recognition. It signals a paradigm shift at the highest levels of the hypercar industry. For decades, the most exclusive manufacturers have maintained tightly controlled ecosystems, keeping parts, data, and repairs locked behind corporate walls. Independent mechanics were viewed with suspicion or outright hostility, often blocked from access, and branded as threats to brand integrity. Rimac's gesture cracks open that closed system, pointing toward a future where collaboration, not exclusion, is the norm. This new mindset envisions a hypercar world where factory engineers and independent builders coexist as partners rather than adversaries. The complexity of today's vehicles demands innovation from every corner, and no single entity holds a monopoly on passion or skill. By recognizing Armstrong's craftsmanship, Rimac acknowledges that the industry grows stronger when expertise is shared and boundaries are blurred. This is a profound departure from tradition and could redefine what it means to own, maintain, and modify the world's most advanced cars. One of the most tangible implications is the potential unlocking of parts and technical resources. If Bugatti's CEO privately validates an independent mechanic's skill, the wall that once separated authorized service from independent work may begin to crumble. For car owners, enthusiasts, and mechanics alike, this could transform the right to repair from a movement fighting uphill battles into an embraced industry standard. It promises greater transparency, more options for maintenance, and the preservation of rare vehicles beyond factory lifespans. Now, with leaders like Rimac setting a tone of respect and openness, the community has reason to hope for more inclusive, supportive relationships. This could revive and sustain automotive craftsmanship in ways beneficial to everyone, from manufacturers to fans. Armstrong's response to Rimac's message underlines the importance of transparency in this new era. By requesting their conversation be recorded and made public, Armstrong is not only holding himself, but also the industry accountable. It's a call for mutual trust and clarity, signaling a willingness to break outdated patterns of secrecy. If this approach gains traction, it could open doors for public dialogues about the future of car design, repair, and innovation. Matt Armstrong's story teaches us that respect can come from the most unexpected places, and that real victory isn't about perfection, but authenticity. When the CEO of Bugatti breaks down walls and extends a hand, it changes the game for everyone. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of car innovation.